Did you know that there is more student debt than credit card debt in the United States of America? Did you know that for many, a university degree, a college degree, is not the ticket to unemployment and economic security?
Don't lock yourself.
Song in the background is Ivory Tower, and that's the name of the new documentary by Andrew Rossi. They're asking the question, how much money is a college education actually really worth? And by the way, Andrew has what might be considered a decent college education. He went to a little place called Yale. Oh, excuse me, that's Yale. I mispronounced it. He's a Yale grad and the filmmaker who made the award-winning Page One Inside the New York Times documentary. See, Inside the New York Times documentary. That's a documentary about the New York Times, which I really want to see. Can I get that?
Yes, absolutely. It's available on Netflix.
Perfect. I have Netflix. I just have to figure out how to hook it up. Can you help me? You went to Yale. All right. Ivory Tower is screening at SIF tonight at 7 o'clock at Pacific Place Cinemas and opening in Seattle at Sundance Cinemas on June 27th. Sundance is the great theater they remodeled in the University District. It's a beautiful place now with food and drink. It's phenomenally awesome. So make sure you see Ivory Tower. Andrew Rossi, welcome to 95.7 KJR.
Thanks so much for having me.
I went to Yale, too, to try and hit on girls there when I was young.
Okay.
But I was uneducated, and they had no interest in me. I didn't come from any money. When did you graduate?
I graduated in 98.
1998. And a Yale education, I would think, is worth money. I mean, has that been really helpful to you?
I think it has been helpful. I mean, certainly the most important thing was learning a set of skills that I could apply to lots of different jobs and different careers, actually, that I've had. But it's true that there are a sort of range of schools that have so much sort of brand value that they can command very high tuition rates. We start in the film at Harvard, looking at their historical role as the first university in this country, and sort of setting a standard of growth and a model for expansion that a lot of other schools have pursued, which don't have an endowment to basically pay for all the facilities that they're creating. And so we see that other schools that have had a reduction in state funding and are trying to charge more tuition are becoming too expensive and don't have that same kind of brand.
And this is the thing where you look into today, people are amassing so much debt because they think they have to have a college education because we've made that seem very appealing, and because guys like you, guys who graduate from Yale and Harvard end up being presidents of the United States and CEOs of large corporations. So we believe that that's super desirable. What did you find when you investigated the cost? I don't know if you looked at, University of Washington or good fine state schools that we have here. What did you, when you investigated the cost for a four-year degree versus the return on investment, which if you're a fancy schmancy Yale guy, that's, I'm sure, how you look at it, right?
Well, we look at a lot of different factors to see what makes college this sort of, this ideal, this cultural thing that we want all of our young people to aspire to. And we find that there are enduring character formation paths and experience for many people, but there are also these terrible outcomes with those who take on so much debt.
Okay. So the debt is the big
debt is the big issue. To your first question, though, there is a return on investment for those who have a college degree versus just a high school diploma. And you can see that the median lifetime earnings are about $1 million higher if you do have a college degree.
So that's good.
Yes, it is. But it doesn't take into account the 68% of students who fail to graduate in 4 years.
Oops.
Or 44% who fail to graduate in 6 years. So that kind of outcome for students when they don't get their degree and still end up with a lot of debt is not good.
And they never give you your money back when you don't graduate. They
don't guarantee you'll graduate.
Right.
It's up to you.
Nice try, but no thank
No.
you.
So, all right. So that would seem to say if you're going to college and you're going to incur all that debt, Make darn sure you finish. Is that part of the point?
Make sure you finish, and make sure that your time there is meaningful. We also found that there are a bunch of students who are spending all their time partying, not doing much reading or writing. There are studies like Academically Adrift. Sure, and we want to also encourage students to have fun, and it's a socializing event to go to college for 4 years.
But this is the most expensive party you'll ever attend if you
That's
go
right.
to college to party.
Unless you're at Diddy's wedding or something. That's an expensive party
So,
too, but this
so
is-
that's interesting. So, this debt, how come we don't know? College debt is bigger than credit card debt. That's something that's a shocker. That's the Billboard shocker of the film.
Absolutely, it's over $1.2 trillion in student loan debt, and it's really out of control. And there are legislators like Elizabeth Warren, the senator from Massachusetts, who are trying to do things to get relief for student debtors, like being able to refinance their loans. But there's been this shift in thinking in America that going to college is a private good. It's this thing that lets you make more money over the course of your career, which it does
if you succeed.
But one of the things that Ivory Tower tries to do is to give a historical context and to see how this country is, in many eras, supported education as a public good.
So historical context, say more about that. So historically, don't we need some people who don't have a college education who are really good at other things?
Yes, absolutely. And there are pathways through college that are more vocationally oriented. And there are great things with apprenticeships, and the film also does look at how not going to college can be a very meaningful path.
For certain people, like
But-
if you're going to be in the trades, college is a waste of money, and you can do extremely well. Is that also in this covered
Yes,
in this?
absolutely.
Okay. How do you know if you're one of those people? That's shouldn't we have better aptitude testing?
I think that we should have more counseling in high schools that accommodates a path that doesn't include college. There's such a reflexive notion that everyone should go, and there should be a more open mind.
Right. Now, do you have kids?
I do.
And
Yes.
are they in community college or going to be? Do they go to Yale like you?
No, they're in kindergarten.
Oh well, it's early for that question.
He's grooming
I
them.
can't really
Yeah.
do a gotcha on that for another
There was a
decade and
mobile
a half.
above
or
the
something.
baby's crib, had a shovel, a wrench.
Let me ask you, because you'll face this as a parent, you will want your kid to do better than you, because I think that's in the parenting gene, right?
Absolutely. Everybody wants their child to do as well as they can and is willing to sacrifice for them. And certainly I would be willing to pay what at that time will likely be $500,000 or $550,000 for each of them to attend college. But I also feel that
So you think this film is going to be bigger than Godzilla if you're going to be able to pay $500,000 for each of their college?
Well, I'm the parent of, I'm the child of immigrants. I'm a first generation American, and so my parents really drilled in me the importance of education, the value of getting a professional degree. But the way that I look at it with my children is that if they have a passion they want to pursue outside of college, outside of that traditional pathway, I would certainly support them. So I'm not gunning for them to definitely go to college. I'm hoping that they will just pursue what they love.
Eric has a question.
I do. I also have a young child. My son is 5. He's going to start kindergarten in the fall. Is there any possibility that we are sitting on a huge bubble that could pop, and anyone who pays the extraordinarily high tuition cost now is going to feel like an idiot a few years from now?
Well, that word bubble does come up in the film, and it's Peter Thiel, who's one of the founders of PayPal, who says it. And he basically says that a lot of college students feel like victims now with the student loan debt that they have. And he's the one who's basically paying people $100,000 to drop out of college and to start a company. So there is a sense that with the uncollege movement, which really is a West Coast phenomenon, that we may see a big trend, a big change in people's feelings about college.
Talk about MOOCs.
So MOOCs are massive open online courses. They also are...
So they like Uber is to regular cab companies. This is a way for you to get an education cheaper.
Kind of, yeah. Well, but the problem is that you really need an in-person, in-class instruction component. So MOOCs are these classes that are delivered online. Udacity, Coursera, and edX are some of the biggest providers.
edX. Does it absolutely positively have to be that?
I mean, you got to learn it overnight.
You got to learn overnight?
Yeah, that's it.
edX. That sounds cool.
edX, yeah. And it's a collection of classes, everything from computer science to history.
Are they videos like YouTube videos?
Precisely, yeah.
Okay.
They're videos you watch, and then they're quizzes that come
But
up
you
in
said,
the middle.
are they as effective as being in a classroom with a real live mentor?
So unfortunately, we see a pilot that was done at San Jose State University, in which the pass rates were like 25%, 27%, really terrible. But that's because they were delivered exclusively online. But when you have an in-person component, when you have a teacher, the results are much better.
Could you do a hybrid where a bunch of the learning takes place online and then you go to, because like it doesn't matter what you're doing. If you have a counselor, someone who's happy to see you and celebrates your success with real human emotions, that's what a teacher is. They inspire you, right?
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And that's what we see in the film. And community colleges are really a venue where that's happening. These hybrid instruction, the flipped classroom, where basically you watch the lecture at home and then you do your homework actually in the class.
How much is education going to change in the future as we pour technology into it? A lot, right?
Really a lot, yeah. I mean, it's at the precipice of a huge change.
We're about to do amazing things. Some of them will work, some of them will fail.
Exactly. The ethos of Silicon Valley to sort of move quickly and break things while you go, it does have salience here.
Right.
The guy from PayPal's $100,000 to drop out of college and start a business. Say I've got a kid that did half of that, just dropped out of college. Can I get $50,000 for that?
50 grand not to start a
We
business?
should call him up.
No, that's a farm subsidy you're thinking about.
Oh,
That's a
my
whole
bad.
other
My
industry. All right, it's fascinating, and you are quite the documentarian. This is your fourth. You've been hired by CNN to do stuff. I really want to see the New York Times ones. Give me just inside the New York Times. It was 2011, nominated for 2 Emmys, Critics' Choice for Best Documentary. For people that want to see that on Netflix and see your work, what's that about?
Well, it's interesting. It's another story of disruption. It's the newspaper industry going through all the sort of trials and tribulations of digital media, taking their audience and figuring out how they can continue to provide quality journalism. And it's told through the lens of the New York Times media desk.
I think I don't know if I saw the whole movie, but they should never have let you in, is what I was thinking. Is that right?
Well, I think
They are really open and honest about how tough it is, right?
That's right, and we've seen so many changes that they've been able to weather, and they've instituted a paywall, which has been successful.
Yeah.
And David Carr is at the heart of that movie.
Okay, yeah, I didn't see the whole thing, but I saw some of this, and it's on my to-do list. Inside the New York Times, is there any solution for newspapers? I don't think there is.
I think that they need to become multimedia companies, and video is a big part of their future.
But I mean, I was annoyed with the New York Times. I subscribed, right? And then at first it was free on my iPhone, and I found myself watching, like reading the editorials and all my favorite people, and I was like, I would be willing to pay for this. But then as soon as they put up the paywall, it didn't work as well, and it wasn't formatted right, so I bought it. But then when I got an iPad, they wanted to charge me again to be on the iPad, and I'm like, digital, you should charge me less and just have more people. And they never seem to get that.
That's too bad. Well, I think they're figuring it out as they go.
Yeah, okay. This is fascinating stuff. Andrew Rossi in our studio. See the film at SIF tonight.
We actually have extra tickets if you want to come by.
Okay, thank you. Pacific Place, 7 o'clock, and Seattle at Sundance Cinemas. It starts June 27th. Thank you.